The Chicago Bears have made their first unofficial depth chart for the 2021 season after 2 weeks of training camp practice. Who's first string, who's second string, who's third string, you'll find out in this video right here. What's up, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears daily update videos where I'll be giving guys all the latest news from Bears training camp. Today, I don't have a training camp practice update video because even though there was practice today, it was closed to the public and there also wasn't a lot that went on today. It was pretty much, a walkthrough practice, which only lasted like an hour and a half or so. So not really much to report on practice, but today they did release an unofficial depth chart for the first time this season, okay, which is pretty big news because you can kind of see, based on the first 2 weeks of camp, who the Bears have liked in practice so far. I mean, keep in mind also that this is pretty fluid, so it could move a lot over the next few weeks. This is in no ways like a official depth chart where it's going to stay like this throughout the rest of the season. This is pretty much only where things stand after the first 2 weeks. So don't overreact to any of this too much, but based on how things stand right now, this is what the Bears depth chart is looking like. So in this video, guys, I'll be going position by position and kind of, telling you guys who's first string, who's second string, who's third string, and kind of giving you guys some takeaways from that as well. So yeah, let's just get into the video then, guys. Okay, so I'll begin by talking about the quarterbacks first of all, and first string is Andy Dalton, second string is rookie quarterback Justin Fields, and third string is veteran quarterback Nick Foles. Now that should not be that surprising as of now because in totality, Andy Dalton probably still has had the better camp than Justin Fields, even though Justin Fields has been looking very good as of late. Okay, on Sunday, Justin Fields definitely looked like the better quarterback than Dalton, and in the last few days pretty much, right, Fields has been heating up a lot, so maybe in the next few weeks Fields could be challenging for the #1 spot, but as of now it's still Andy Dalton being the starter because he's had probably the better camp overall. Okay, Dalton had the better week 1. He was still pretty consistent week 2 as well. And being in the NFL for 10 years now, like the veteran quarterback is probably going to get the starting spot as of now. So Dalton #1, Justin Fields a close #2, and then Nick Foles a distant #3. Okay, Nick Foles is not going to see any playing time on our team this year, hopefully, because he's been horrible out there in camp, even going up against third stringers. We're trying to trade this guy away, but nobody wants him right now, it seems like. So don't worry about Foles, guys. He's not going to play a role on this team this year, but that's the quarterback chart right now. Let me move on to the receivers then, okay? So obviously wide receiver #1, Allen Robinson, should not be a surprise. #2, on the other side, that's Darnell Mooney. Not a surprise either, okay? Both of them have been really consistent in camp. They've been making plays practically every single day, and dating back to last season, you obviously knew these guys were going to be your two biggest weapons on the offense. So 1 and 2 should not be a surprise. If you go to #3 then, or a starting slot receiver, or wide receiver #3 if you want to call it, is going to be Marquise Goodwin as of now, which does make sense to me as well, okay? Because every practice I've went to, Marquise Goodwin has made a lot of plays, okay? He's looking fast out there. He's looking agile. He's been able to even jump up and get balls over DBs, okay? I didn't think he could do that before watching him do it live. So he's been having a very good camp so far, so he definitely deserves that #3 spot, or the starting slot spot. So that's the starting 3. If you go to second string then, it's going to be Damiere, Byrd, Chris Lacey, and Riley Ridley, okay? And that's pretty interesting as well. Lacey has been looking pretty good. He's caught multiple touchdowns from Justin Fields. Riley Ridley, I'm kind of surprised because Ridley has kind of struggled with drops, at least in week 1 he did. Last week he did look a little bit better, but maybe they're wanting to give an increased role to Riley Ridley now because he was a 4th-round pick from Ryan Pace in 2019. So that's interesting. And then our acquisition this year, Damiere Byrd from the Patriots, he is also second string. He has a lot of speed, and he definitely showed that on Sunday, at least, and last week in camp as well. Okay, he was flying by some of the corners that we had. So that's the second string. Then if you go to our third string receivers, Rodney Adams, Justin Hardy, and Javon Wims. Okay, and that's kind of surprising to me that Jon'Vea Johnson is not there. He's an other, okay? So he's not even listed as being a third stringer because Jon'Vea Johnson, guys, he's been having a very good camp so far, okay? Every time I see him out there with Fields, it seems like he's always open, but I guess the Bears coaching staff thinks differently, okay? Because they have Rodney Adams, Justin Hardy, and Javon Wims over him. Javon Wims being a third stringer is kind of interesting because it makes you think that the Bears might not want to keep him beyond this year, okay? Because he's been here for a long time now, since 2018, and he's still only a third string receiver. So they clearly don't value Wims as much as the other receivers. And yeah, so that makes me happy, to be honest, because I don't want to see Wims on this roster for next year. What he did last year was unacceptable against the Saints. He also had that drop in the playoffs. So I'm not the biggest fan of Wims, so it would not make me sad if we cut him. But otherwise, man, John Vay Johnson not being even listed, that's probably the only big takeaway I have from the receiving depth chart. But yeah, that's the receivers. Let's move on to the running backs then. We got Monty number 1, not a surprise. We got Damian Williams then second string. And then we got Khalil Herbert third string. And then a bunch of others in Ryan Nall, Artavis Pierce, and CJ Marable. So that also should not be that surprising, guys. Obviously, Tariq Cohen is still out with his injury. He's still on the PUP list. So we haven't seen any of Tariq Cohen in camp yet, which does kind of suck. Hopefully, he comes back in the next few weeks, at least before week 1 of the regular season. But as of now, that looks like a pretty good running back depth chart. Okay, Herbert has flashed his agility and his speed in camp so far, but Williams also has been looking pretty good, also as a receiving back as well. So I agree with this running back depth chart. It makes total sense to me. Then if you go to the tight ends, we got Cole Kmet being the first string tight end, Jimmy Graham being second string, Jesse James being third string, and then others we have JP Holtz, Jesper Horsted, and Scooter Harrington. Now, Cole Kmet being number 1 is kind of a big deal because it makes you think we're going to target him a lot more this year in the passing attack than we did at the beginning of last year. Because if you guys remember last year, at the beginning of 2020, Jimmy Graham was our main option going down the field at tight end. Cole Kmet was pretty much just a blocking tight end that we really did not throw to at all until the last 6 weeks of the season. But this depth chart does make it seem like he's going to be thrown to a lot more. So that's the tight ends, and if you go to the offensive line, it's pretty much a mess right now. We have Latavius Simmons at right tackle. We have James Daniels at right guard. We have Sam Mustipher at center. Cody Whitehair at left guard, and then Elijah Wilkinson at left tackle. Now, the interior doesn't surprise me that much. That should probably be our interior for the regular season as well, but the tackles do kind of concern me as of now. Okay, we have a 7th-round pick from last year, Latavius Simmons, being our first string tackle right now because we have so many injuries. So that kind of sucks. Then we have Elijah Wilkinson, a guy from the Broncos we signed on a cheap 1-year deal, being our left tackle. That's not giving me confidence at all. Okay, Tevin Jenkins is still injured. He hasn't played a single snap yet at training camp, which is starting to get concerning as of now. Okay, he has back tightness, but is it just a tight back at this point if it's been 2 weeks? Like, I don't know what to think about that right now. And then Jermaine Fetty as well, dealing with an injury. I don't know when Jermaine Fetty is going to be back either. So the tackles do concern me a lot, and the depth behind them also is not the best at all positions. So if you look at our second string right tackle, that's Tyrone Wheatley Jr. Second string right guard is Alex Bars. Center, Dieter Eastland. Left guard, Arlington Hambright. Left tackle, Tevin Jenkins. He's only second string because he hasn't played yet at all. And then third string, we got center, Adam Redman. Left guard, Darian Parker. And left tackle, Larry Borum. And then beyond them, we just got another left tackle, Badora Traore, who I honestly have not heard that much of. So that's the offense. Let me switch to the defense now. That's probably going to be a little bit shorter because most of these we already knew coming into the season. But starting defensive tackle, Akeem Hicks, obviously makes sense. Behind him, we got Angelo Blackson, who has flashed as well. Made some plays, makes sense. Then we got third string, Laquale London. Okay, so that's the defensive tackles. Going to nose tackle then, we got first string, Kyrie's Tonga. That's only because Eddie Goldman is injured right now. Or not injured, he has COVID. So hopefully Goldman comes back soon, but right now it's Kyrie's Tonga, the 7th-round pick from this year, who's been looking pretty good in camp. Then we got Mike Pennell, second string. So that's the nose tackles. Going over to defensive end then, we got Bilal Nichols, first string. Mario Edwards, second string. And Daniel Archibong, third string. So defensive ends as well, not a surprise. Okay, Bilal has been flashing a lot this year in camp. He's made a bunch of big-time plays. He was great last year as well. It was pretty much a breakout season for him. So defensive end makes total sense to me. If you go to outside linebacker, then first string, Khalil Mack. Second string, Travis Gibson. Third string, James Vaughters. And then other Charles Snowden on one side. And then on the other side, we got Robert Quinn, first string. Jeremy Otuachu, second string. Ladarius Mack, third string. And Sam Kamara in other. Now, Travis Gibson being second string is pretty important to note because I feel like this guy could, take a big step up this year in 2021. He's been looking great in camp so far, okay, making plays pretty much every single day. He had a few sacks the day that I went, and honestly, he could steal away some of Robert Quinn's snaps if Robert Quinn does not play up to par. So I think Gibson is great depth there at second string. Otuachu has flashed a couple times as well. Ladarius Mack being number 3, that's not surprising either because this guy is still pretty much a project at outside linebacker. He's obviously Khalil Mack's brother, so he's going to get some more recognition that way, but we'll see what he does in the preseason games. Okay, so far, he probably does deserve to be at third string, but otherwise, everything else does make sense. Charles Snowden being in other is kind of disappointing. I would want to see him maybe be third string at least by the time the next depth chart is out, but hopefully Charles Snowden does make the roster because I do like the, physical traits that he brings to this pass rushing core. Moving on then to inside linebacker, we got Danny Trevathan, Roquan Smith first string, not a surprise at all. We got Christian Jones, Joel Iyiegbuniwe being second string. We got Josh Woods and Alec Ogletree being third string, and Caleb Johnson and Austin Calitro in other. Now this I do disagree with because, guys, Alec Ogletree has 6 interceptions in 4 practices. Okay, he's also had some other pretty big time plays like sacks that would have been sacks in real life if he could actually, hit the quarterback. So Ogletree being third string, that will probably change over the next few weeks based on how good he's playing in camp so far, but right now he's there. I'm going to corner then. We got Jalen Johnson at starting outside corner. We got Kindle Vilder then on the other side. And second string then we got Artie Burns, Desmond Trufant. Third string we got Thomas Graham Jr. and Duke Shelley. And then other we got Trey Roberson, Xavier Crawford, and Deontay Ruffin. Now, one thing I want to point out, guys, Kindle Vilder being first string now, okay, starting on the outside, that is a very big deal, okay, because this guy was pretty much an unknown going into this year. Yeah, he had a few big plays last year, but a veteran like Desmond Trufant could have easily replaced him with the experience he brought at corner. But so far, guys, in camp, I mean, Kindle Vilder has been looking pretty phenomenal. The day that I went, he had a big hit on Marquise Goodwin. He's been out there forcing incompletions, pouncing to the ball, being very physical. So I'm happy to see the Bears coaching staff rewarding Kindle Vilder with a spot on first string as of now. But that's the cornerbacks. And then lastly, going to the safeties, we got Eddie Jackson, Tashawn Gibson Sr. at first string, obviously. Then if you go to second string, we got Deanne Bush, DeAndre Houston Carson. Then third string, Tease Tabor, Marquise Christian. Then other, we got Michael Joseph and Jordan Lucas. Now this one obviously should not really be a surprise at all. Jackson and Gibson were expected to be starters going into this year, and that still remains true as of now. Okay, Deanne Bush and DHC are not going to steal their spots. But that's pretty much the entire depth chart, guys. I think I went through every single position. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. Okay, do you agree with the decisions that the Bears coaching staff made, especially at controversial positions like cornerback or quarterback or even receiver? Like, do you agree with John V. Johnson being listed in other? Let me know down below in the comments. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below. As always, bear down.